What's up to all my people, and welcome to Stoniecast number 104 and season 4, episode 2 of Thoughts and Hunches, making money in bunches and sucker punches. It's your boy Stony back for the 104th time, and I'd like to welcome all of my fellow scumbags, hoodlums, lowlifes, cheats, altar boys with unhealthy relationships with their priests, hustlers, foul-mouthing, raging alcoholics with abusive language, fienders, anybody named Phil Mickelson, friends and family of the Gooch, and degenerates. If you're new to the show, hey, you probably fit into one or more of those categories, so welcome. And make sure to hit the subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner so you can get notified every time I put out a new video. To spread the word's very easy. All you got to do is tell all the other scumbags and lowlifes to go to YouTube and enter Stoney's Winners. That's not S-T-O-N-E-Y, but it's S-T-O-N-I-E. Like I try to tell everybody else, including my brother and other people who just can't spell it right, it's not S-T-O-N-E-Y. Just like it says right here in the bottom left next to my picture. That'll take you directly to my page. Now, before we get to the picks, I have some thoughts. Of course I do. SMU, Cal, Stanford, to the ACC, realignment is completely out of control. I can't keep up with it, and right now it doesn't really matter for this season. It's all for the future, so I will not discuss college realignment until the schools have actually moved. Trey Lance to the Cowboys is all anyone wants to talk about because it's the Cowboys, and they're going to meet the Jets in the Super Bowl, right? Shit, that's out of control. When someone like Aaron Rodgers, who the media has been knobbing forever, goes to the New York Jets, that makes them the favorites, right? Of course, New York, big media market, Aaron Rodgers, everybody loves him. Add that to the Cowboys, who next to the Lakers in the NBA and the Yankees in the MLB are the most overhyped teams in all of professional sports. And the press makes these stories insufferable. For starters, the 49ers gave up 2 first-round draft picks, not 3, because they gave up their pick to move up, so it was a swap in the same year. When you realize that the guy you moved up to get isn't the guy, you move off of him. He couldn't beat out Brock Purdy, and he couldn't beat out Sam Darnold. Easy. You move off of him just like the Niners did. When you double down on your mistake, it could set you back at least 5 years as a franchise. Yeah, the 49ers hit it nice with Brock Purdy, who they don't have to pay for 4 years. And they got Sam Darnold on the cheap as his backup. Now we have to listen to the blowhards and talking heads tell you how Dallas got Lance cheap with only a 4th-round pick. But is he going to play at all unless Dak gets injured? Dallas has Dak paid for big bucks for the next 2 years. Now, he could ask for an extension after this season, and if Jerry Jones doesn't want to play ball, Dak could walk after next season and test the free agent market, which leaves Lance, who's still unproven. All I know is that the media will continue to treat Lance like he's the second coming, even though that was the same media that had been talking shit about him and shitting all over him for the last 3 seasons. Freaking hypocrites, it's a joke. Now that he's a Cowboy, he's the greatest thing in the world. Ridiculous. Finally, college football is underway. Thank God. And this week, starting tomorrow, is chock full of tons of matchups, many with huge numbers. There are also plenty of games with no spreads because a lot of the big dogs are playing glorified high school teams, so the books don't even bother with posting a number. I did go 5-2 last week. Yes, 5-2, haters. And starting this season with a 71% week is certainly the best and most solid way to kick off the season. So for all the haters, especially the LSU Jagoffs that went 2-5 last week, I'll have your sister tickle my balls as I continue to deliver the W's in your face. This week, we have games beginning tomorrow and going all the way through Monday because there's still no NFL until next Thursday. So for those of you that don't know the term degenerate special, It's usually the final game of a long Saturday night after you've been betting all day. And if you're up, you bet it to try to double your money, or if you're down, you try to get your money back, all the money that you've lost on Saturday. Sometimes that game's referred to as the late night get right. Now, with games going every day this weekend, we have plenty of those degenerate specials to get to this week. Once again, 5-2 last week, 71.43% to start the week. Lots of games. Ready? Here we go. We'll start off the week tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern in Orlando at the Bounce House, as Central Florida in their inaugural season in the Big 12 is a massive 36.5-point home favorite over Kent State. John Reese Plumlee's back at quarterback for the Knights after a strong season last year had him combined for 3,300 yards passing and rushing. UCF's strong running game will definitely be a major factor as they try to navigate their way through the Big 12. Yes, UCF's in the Big 12 now. Kent State's trying to bounce back after a 5-7 season a year ago, and with a new quarterback and lots of new pieces, a team that was chosen to finish last in the MAC East preseason poll doesn't have a prayer in a game on Fox Sports 1 against the UCF squad with a potent offense that returns all their key players. The thing that gets me, though, is that as good as UCF's offense is, their defense hasn't been that good for a while, and it shouldn't be much better this year. Can they cover 37 points? I say no. Give me the Golden Flashes plus the number. 7:30 Eastern tomorrow night at Pratt Whitney Stadium in Stores. North Carolina State comes to town as 14.5-point road chalk against Connecticut. NC State went 8-5 straight up last year, but lost the Duke's Mayo Bowl to Maryland and finished 4-9 to the number. Big difference there. Devin Leary, their usually reliable quarterback, he's gone. He transferred to Kentucky. And now it's Virginia transfer Brennan Armstrong who takes over. After a great season in 21, he was terrible last year. NC State also lost its top two wideouts from last year and is predicted to finish 9th in the ACC this year. UConn won only one game 2 years ago, but won 6 last year in Jim Moore Jr.'s first year, and they did it with a strong running game and a terrible quarterback play. Former Maine quarterback Joe Fagnano comes to Stores this year, and he knows the system very well. So as much as I like NC State coach Dave Doran, I like Moore a little better. And I'm going to roll with the home dog here and might sprinkle something on the money line, just a little sprinkle in it, plus 500. But it might be worth a shot, hell. You can watch this on CBS Sports Network as UConn keeps it close enough to cover. Huskies plus 14.5. 8 p.m. tomorrow night on Big Fox at Huntington Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, Minnesota, better known as Stonie'Apolis. Minnesota and Nebraska kick off their Big Ten campaigns with Minnie set as a 7-point home favorite. The Golden Gophers are 7-3 in their last 10 against Nebraska, and with the exception of the COVID year 3 years ago, Minnesota has won at least 9 games in 3 straight years. Iowa and Wisconsin are still the favorites to take the Big Ten West, but with their new pieces in place, Minnie's looking to steal the title this year. The Greek god, Ethan Kaliakmanis, takes over as quarterback. Y'all might call him Kaliakmanis. Trust me, it's Kaliakmanis. Takes over at quarterback for Minnie this year. And even though they lost superback Mohamed Ibrahim, this team right here, Minnesota's transfer guy, what's his name? Sean Taylor, Western Michigan. That's right. He transferred in from Western Michigan. He's going to be the feature back for the Gophers. And he's going to fill in just fine for Ibrahim, who's gone. Nebraska's offense will improve this year after finally getting rid of Scott Frost and replacing him with Matt Rule. But question marks at quarterback, an inexperienced offensive line, and not a very good defense against the run. They're in trouble here. I like Matt Rule. He's done a good job at building programs at Rutgers and at Baylor, and he didn't get it done at Carolina, but now he's back, and we'll see what he can do. But it's going to be a rough year in Lincoln for Rule. in his first season. So I'm going to dance with Minnie here at home and lay the number. 8 p.m. tomorrow night in Salt Lake Stony. 14th ranked Utah is a 6.5-point home favorite over Florida on ESPN. Florida knocked off Utah in Gainesville last year, but Utah rebounded to win 10 of their next 13 games. The Gators' second year under head coach Billy Napier has to be better than last year, and that won't be easy with last year's quarterback Anthony Richardson now an Indianapolis Colt. Luckily for Napier, though, Florida has Wisconsin transfer Graham Mertz as their quarterback, and while he's uber experienced, he'll be without his top two wideouts tomorrow. Utah's loss to Florida to start last season had the Utes seething, and they won all 6 games at Rice-Eccles Stadium all season last year. Head coach Kyle Whittingham is one of the most underrated coaches in the country. I've been saying it for 5 years, and he gets plenty of firepower returning on both sides of the ball this year. It all starts with quarterback Cam Rising. He threw for 3,000 yards and rushed for another 450. Yeah, he tore his ACL in last season's bowl game, and he's doubtful for tomorrow night's game. Returning 3 of their top 4 backs from last year is only going to help the Utes as they look to knock off USC as the favorites in their last season in the Pac-12. I'm going to go with the under here, as 2 very good defenses and questionable quarterback play will not lead to lots of scoring. Give me under 45.5. If Rising were in there and starting, I might be more leaning towards Utah, but under 45.5 is clearly the play. Moving on to Friday, we'll start at 7 Eastern at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, as the Canes from Florida are a big 17-point favorite over the Red Hawks of Ohio in the Battle of Miami schools. The Red Hawks went 6-6 last year and lost to UAB in the Bahamas Bowl. Brett Gabbert returns as their starting quarterback, but he's lost a lot of weapons from last year. The Red Hawks, though, led the MAC in scoring and run defense, which is their identity. But can they move the ball enough on a Friday night in South Florida? Head coach Mario Cristobal, in his first year at the helm for the Canes, Miami finished 5-7 and 3-5 in the ACC, failing to reach a bowl for the second straight year. Sorry, all you Miami fans who I golfed with last weekend, but you're starting to get used to not making bowl games. Tyler Van Dyke returns as Cristobal's quarterback and has all the tools to improve from last year because he wasn't very good last year. Henry Parrish is the Canes' top running back, and he's the man. And star recruit Mark Fletcher, freshman, he's going to get lots of touches as well. Lance Guidry, he comes over from Marshall, right? And he was the defensive coordinator, where the Herd was ranked number 7 overall total defense in the country last year. This defense is going to be impressive for the Canes this year. Offensively, they're going to have their issues, but defensively, they shouldn't have many issues at all. In 2 matchups last year against Power 5 schools, the Red Hawks got beaten up by 24 to Kentucky and 21 to Cincinnati. I see more of the same on Friday as the Canes win easy and get the Canes fans excited until they show their true colors in week 3 or 4. Give me the Canes at home for now. Also on Friday at 7 Eastern at Spartan Stadium in East Lansing, Michigan State's a 14.5-point home favorite on Fox Sports 1 over Central Michigan. Sparty took a big step back last year after an 11-win season and a Peach Bowl victory in 21. Head coach Mel Tucker has still not announced a starter at quarterback after last year's quarterback Peyton Thorne took off for Auburn. Redshirt junior Noah Kim and big shot freshman Caton Hauser from California, superpower St. John Bosco are the choices. Defensively, Sparty will be just fine and should be nice on Friday. The Chippewas come in with similar question marks at quarterbacks, but they are known for running the ball. Defensively, CMU is talented but inexperienced, especially in the secondary. Michigan State has one of the toughest schedules in the nation as Ohio State, Michigan, Washington, and Penn State all loom. No problems on Friday, though, against a MAC team that was a mess last year and doesn't seem to be heading for a bowl game this season either. Give me Sparty and lay the two touchdowns. Friday at 7:30 Eastern in Atlanta. Louisville's a 7.5-point road favorite on ESPN over Georgia Tech as both schools start their ACC slate. Jeff Brom ushers in a new era as head coach at Louisville, and he brought with him his former quarterback at Purdue, Jack Plummer, who spent last season at Cal. Even with Plummer, expect Louisville to run the ball a lot more this year as their top back, Jawar Jordan, returns, and he's a stud. Tech is a mess, especially stopping the run. After losing a big haul in their front seven on D and with a couple of transfers coming in, I look for the Jackets to struggle. Quarterback Haynes Kings transferred in from Texas A&M, where he was awful. He just wasn't good. New quarterback in a new system in his first game against an excellent defense, forget about it. I love Louisville here. Give me the cards and fire on them. For Friday's nightcap, you can call the Degenerate Special on Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern in Stony Lulu. Stanford enters as a 3.5-point road favorite over Hawaii. The Rainbow Warriors finished last season by covering 7 of their last 8 and covered the number in last week's opener right here in Music City against Vanderbilt. Stanford now has former Cal quarterback Troy Taylor as their head coach, but still has a ton of question marks. An unproven quarterback and a defense that's inexperienced, Taylor will have his work cut out for him. Traveling to Hawaii is never easy with all the distractions, and Hawaii looked very good in their opener of Season 2 of Timmy Chang's unique run-and-shoot offense. The issue I have here is that the number opened at 8, and the Sharps quickly pounced on the Rainbow Warriors, betting it all the way down to 3.5. Now with the public all over Hawaii, the value's gone for Hawaii, and has since gone to Stanford. You all know how much I love going against the public. I'll take Stanford at 3.5. Moving on to Saturday, we'll start at Chestnut Hill as Boston College is an 8.5-point favorite on the ACC network over Northern Illinois. BC's improving and NIU is regressing, but 8.5 is still too many points to lay for the Eagles. I like the Huskies. Also at noon at Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City. Wave to the children. Stop. After the third quarter, everybody stop. Wave to the children in Children's Hospital. I know it's still relatively new, but it gets me every time, and it's the best tradition in college football. 25th ranked Iowa is a 24.5-point favorite over Utah State. Utah State continues to struggle, and the Hawkeyes look to take a big leap forward this year in the Big 12 as head coach Kirk Ferentz starts his 24th year at the helm. Another very underappreciated coach. Iowa's defense is suffocating, and this one could possibly end in a shutout. But either way, the Hawkeyes are the play, even with the big number. At noon Eastern in West Lafayette, Purdue is a 3.5-point home chalk on the Big Ten Network over Fresno State. Purdue has lots of issues, and without Jeff Brom, they're in trouble here. The Boilermakers still have the size, but they lack the experience to keep up with Fresno, who comes in following a 10-win season and a victory over Washington State in the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl. Jeff Tedford starts season 5 as the head coach of the Bulldogs, and I look for them to pull off the mild upset here. So give me Fresno money line plus 160. Yeah. Noon Eastern on ABC, about a half hour up the road from here in Nashville's Nissan Stadium. 12th ranked Tennessee is a huge 28-point favorite over Virginia. The border war or the Battle of the Orange, Virginia's in serious trouble. Lots of changes, new faces, very few transfers, and plenty of inexperience. The Cavs are up against Josh Heupel's high-octane offense that Joe Milton takes over as quarterback after Hendon Hooker left to go play on Sundays. The only way this one stays remotely close is if Virginia uses the rivalry angle to their advantage, but with a defense that is not very good, I see the Vols scoring early, often, and hanging 50 on the Cavs. Vols, all day. Noon Eastern on ESPN-U. SMU is a 20.5-point home favorite over Louisiana Tech in Big D. SMU is still in the American Athletic Conference, but they're so desperate to get into a power conference, they're trying to buy their way into the ACC by offering to play for free for the first 7 years in the conference without taking any television revenue. It's borderline ridiculous. Or it is ridiculous. There's nothing borderline about it. But with plenty at stake for the Mustangs, they're looking to make a statement this year as a huge home favorite against the La Tech squad that's already 1-0. SMU wins comfortably, but 20.5 has backdoor written all over it. Give me the Bulldogs and the points. Noon Eastern in Fort Worth on Big Fox. The Coach Prime show kicks off as Deion Sanders brings his Colorado Buffaloes to town to take on 17th ranked TCU. Prime time is actually trying to completely upend college football tradition like recruiting, and has instead done a radical rebuild by utilizing the transfer portal to completely overhaul an awful team from a year ago. He's also swinging for the fences as his Buffaloes go on the road to take on a loaded TCU squad that made it to the national championship game last year. Sure, they were throttled by Georgia, but they're back and they're still very strong. TCU is also a 20.5-point favorite. While the naysayers would love to see Deion fail, he just doesn't know how. He's won at everything that he's done. Sorry, that was pretty cool. Colorado will be a tricky team to bet the first few weeks of this season as we try to get a handle on who they are and how good they can be. Horned Frogs win rather easily, but I have to side with Coach Prime here and take the big number until he proves me wrong. Give me the Buffs and the 3 touchdowns. 3:30 Eastern in Bloomington on CBS. Third-ranked Ohio State comes in as 30.5-point road chalk to take on Indiana. The Hoosiers can't beat anyone that matters, and Ohio State has made a living for the last 15 years feasting on teams that don't matter. Indiana doesn't matter. Ohio State minus 30.5. Yeah, even on the road. 3:30 Eastern in Seattle. Boise State's a 14.5-point road dog against 10th-ranked Washington. The Huskies are deep, and as their Pac-12 lives are coming to a close, they look to hang another one on Boise, who just doesn't have the horses to keep up here. This one will be won in the trenches, and UW has the thoroughbreds. Give me Washington at home. Also at 3:30 Eastern on Big Fox, 11th-ranked Texas is a 35.5-point favorite at home in Austin against Rice. The Owls are bad, very bad, and they won't be very good this year. But as usual, Texas has a ranking that is too high because, like we hear every single year, Texas is for real this year, aren't they? No, they're not. They're really not. I'll take the Owls and the 5 touchdowns, every single one of them. 3:30 Eastern Saturday on CBS Sports Network. South Florida heads to Bowling Green to take on Western Kentucky with the Hilltoppers listed as an 11.5-point favorite. South Florida is not in Western Kentucky's class, and every projection that I've made in this one has Western Kentucky winning by 3 touchdowns. Toppers roll in my lock of the week. 4 Eastern. The California Golden Showers head to Denton to take on North Texas on ESPNU as 6-point road favorites. Why? Really? Cal and North Texas on an ESPNU? Oof. North Texas is hardly a world beater, but the Golden Showers are exactly that until they prove otherwise. I can't in good conscience lay a touchdown with those humps. I just can't do it. Give me the Mean Green at home plus the 6.5. 6:30 Eastern on the soon-to-be defunct Pac-12 network. 6th-ranked USC is a 38.5-point favorite over Nevada and La La Land. USC won last week by beating up on San Jose State. As you can see, they're really amping up their out-of-conference schedule now, especially with Nevada coming to town. SC can score with anyone, and Caleb Williams is ridiculously talented. But after giving up 28 points to San Jose State last week, the Trojans have proven that they still can't stop anyone. Nevada's terrible and overmatched here, period. And they're probably going to lose by 5 touchdowns. But 5 touchdowns is a cover. It's not 38.5. Give me the Wolfpack. 7 Eastern on Fox Sports 1. One of last year's Cinderellas, UTSA, heads northeast in-state to take on Houston. The Cougars are a short 2-point home dog against the Roadrunners. Houston won one of the best games in college football last season, 37-35, in a triple overtime thriller at the Alamo Dome when Houston quarterback Clayton Tune somersaulted into the end zone for a 2-point conversion and the win. Texas Tech transfer quarterback Donovan Smith takes over, and while he has some big shoes to fill, Smith is going to be just fine. UTSA returns quarterback Frank Harris, who, believe it or not, is in his 7th season in college football and is the reigning Conference USA Player of the Year. Yes, I said 7th season in college football. Who does he think he is? Trajan Langdon? I mean, Trajan Langdon was like 28 when he graduated from Duke, right? And lots of others, especially now with transfer portal and an extra year of COVID. It's just insanity. Houston's jump from the AAC to the Big 12 is a big deal this year, and they don't need a loss at home to a non-conference team to start the season. But with 16 returning starters from an 11-win team, head coach Jeff Traylor's Roadrunners have more weapons right now than Dana Holgerson's Cougars. Give me the Roadrunners, minus the 2 to get the revenge. 7:30 Eastern on NBC at Beaver Stadium from University Park. 7th-ranked Penn State is a 20.5-point favorite over visiting West Virginia. Last year, West Virginia faced 2 top 25 defenses. They only scored 14 points against Iowa State and 20 against Texas. Can they repeat that against a tough James Franklin-led defense that gets better every year? I mean, Penn State is a lot like Ohio State, and that they can beat the teams that matter, but they can't beat the teams that matter, but they always beat the teams that don't matter. This is no knock on West Virginia, but even though Penn State is breaking in a new quarterback, they can run it all day and pound away at the Mountaineers on defense. Give me the Lions at home easily. 7:30 Eastern on ABC. 21st-ranked North Carolina is a short 2.5-point favorite over South Carolina in the Duke's Mayo Classic at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. For the 37th straight year, ESPN's College Game Day will get going, and the usual faces, Reese Davis, Desmond Howard, Kirk Herbstreit, Lee Corso, and now Pat McAfee, they'll all be there to get the season started. 3 days after a hurricane ripped through there today, actually, and without Big and Rich singing their iconic Coming to Their City. Instead, it's going to be Darius Rucker, Lainey Wilson, and the Cadillac 3 singing Coming to Your City. Now, I like all 3 of them. I have no problems with them, but it's going to be different without Big and Rich. Who knows? Is it because of John Rich's politics? Could be. You never know. No one's really come out to say. Maybe they'll say it on Saturday. Either way, North Carolina quarterback Drake May is the star attraction here, as he will probably be a top 5 pick in next April's draft. That makes the Tar Heels a trendy public bet here. You know me. Public likes the Tar Heels. I'll go the other way and take USC plus the 2.5. 7:30 Eastern on CBS in Laramie. Texas Tech enters as a 14-point road favorite over Wyoming. Tech has the offensive firepower and the depth, but Wyoming has the size and the experience. The Raiders win on the road very easy, but I like the Cowboys here, plus all those points at home. And for Saturday's Degenerate Special, 10:30 Eastern in Pasadena at the Rose Bowl. UCLA is a 14.5-point favorite over Coastal Carolina on ESPN. The Bruins start their 6th season under head coach Chip Kelly and are coming off their best season, in which they won 9 games. Gone are a lot of starters, including do-everything quarterback DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who's now playing on Sundays. And with this being the Bruins' last season in the Pac-12, they want to start quick. Coastal Carolina, along with UTSA, was another small school from a small conference that had a big year last season. And even though they're traveling cross-country for this one, and they're leaving the hurricane mess behind them for sunny Southern California, UCLA is the better team, period. But are they going to be better by 2 touchdowns or more? No. Even with the 10:30 start for Coastal Carolina, I still like the Chanticleers here. Take them with the points. Now we move on to Sunday. Yes, I said Sunday. Noon Eastern time in Piscataway, New Jersey. Rutgers is a 6.5-point favorite over Northwestern in both schools' Big Ten opener on CBS. With all the distractions surrounding Northwestern in the offseason regarding former head coach Pat Fitzgerald and the hazing that was going on, you can't possibly expect Northwestern to play a strong game on the road against a program that's been improving, especially at home. Give me the Scarlet Knights and lay the number. 3:30 Eastern on Sunday on CBS, 18th-ranked Oregon State heads south to San Jose as 16.5-point favorites to take on San Jose State. Oregon State's another strong team in the Pac-12 this season after a solid showing last year, which was led by their defense. We'll see what they can do offensively with 7 returning starters, but we've already seen what San Jose's offense could do against USC last week. Now, the Spartans are at home as another big underdog against another Pac-12 school. Sure, Oregon State's not USC, but they're dangerous. I like Oregon State to win, but I like San Jose to slip through the back door. Give me the Spartans and the points. Sunday night's Degenerate Special and the game of the week goes at 7:30 Eastern on ABC in Orlando as 5th-ranked LSU, for some reason they're ranked 5th, is a 2.5-point road favorite at 8th-ranked Florida State. FSU has a quarterback getting Heisman talk in Jordan Travis. LSU has the same in Jaden Daniels. Both schools have an All-American destroyer on defense. LSU's Harold Perkins. Say hello to Florida State's Jared Verse. This game is supposed to be a great one, and everyone is still knobbing LSU after last year's fluke of a season under Brian Kelly and his newly Southern family. I hate LSU almost as much as their pretentious, full of shit fans. Give me the Noles plus the 2.5, and while I'm at it, I'm also going to jump on the under, which is posted at 56.5. Noles and the under on Sunday. Finally, the last game of the week, Monday night on ESPN at 8 Eastern in Durham, because let's face it, from now into January, no more college football on Monday night. It's NFL. So let's get it. 8 Eastern in Durham, 9th-ranked Clemson is a 13-point road favorite over Duke. Clemson's off year a season ago still proved to be a very quiet but solid season. Duke is Duke. They're on TV more than Leave It to Beaver. Wait a minute. Oops, sorry, wrong sport. To close out the week, I'm going to take Clemson on the road to pound Duke on the road and make an early statement in the ACC. Lay 'em. 30 plays enough for you, week 2? Yeah, they're going to have to be. 18 wins, 18 and 12, it's just fine. But the closer we get to 20 wins, the better. Like I said above, the NFL begins next week, so we have to take advantage of as many of these games as possible as we can. The next video is going to come out next Wednesday, a week from tonight, the night before the NFL kicks off next Thursday. So until then, make sure that if you want to win big, you got to bet big. You can't go broke taking a profit. Scared money don't make money. For me, the action is the juice. There's money on the streets that can't be ignored. And finally, good luck to you. Miss you, Gooch. Love you, brother.